Welcome to a special episode of Hack Your Time. I'm Emily Slahetka, and I'm joined by Kim and Joe, two of our amazing time hacker coaches. And we're doing something fun today because we are co-hosting the podcast, and we're going to talk to you about our Hustle-Free Holidays pop-up experience, which happened roughly 2 years ago. And that was when we each joined Time Hackers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been 2 years. A lot has happened over the past 2 years, but I thought it would be fun just to try and remember what we were doing 2 years ago, or like where you were in your life. So anyone want to jump in with that?
Yeah, I'll go.
No, go for it, Joe.
Let's go. I remember very clearly because I was a brand new coach. I just certified in the October, so this was December 2021, and I'll have to admit, I didn't join because I was worried about the holidays or I was getting overwhelmed with stuff that I had to do. It was purely because I was just generally overwhelmed, and I joined several programs, and I was like, how am I going to get all this done? There's so much to consume. How am I going to get clients? All these thoughts spinning in my head all the time. And then I just heard Vikki offering a new way to look at time, and I thought I have to be in that group. So I think it was a 2-week pop-up. Is that correct? And then I think it's extended, but originally it was a 2-week, I think. And I just thought,
like 30 days, about 30 days.
Oh, it was a 30-day. I do remember it went on longer, and I was like, good, I'm getting more and more value here. But yeah, I thought, what a perfect way to just kind of regroup, get some new ideas on time, and to stop basically rushing, chasing, hustling, which was the mode I was definitely in at that time.
So mine was, 2 years ago, that would have made me 41. Yeah. So I was a year into my coaching business. I was in another coaching business, I was in another coaching program. And it was like, she was an example of like, we can all make $10 million, right? So I was 1 year in, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to make $10 million, but I'm 41 years old and things take time. And at that point I realized, time, it was going to take me time to do this. And it was going to be, money takes time, right? And I feel like I'm already on this clock because I'm not 20 years old creating a company. And it was like, this lady's talking about time and how time isn't it. And like, I'm a person, I need to like experiment with you first before I'm going to invest with you. And this was a great, low hanging fruit, free to get in. I was like Joe, I wasn't like hustling in the holidays. It was like, I want to know how to get my $10 million faster. If it's not really time, then how do I get to my $10 million faster? Because I don't want to be 75 and get in there. And that's what made me join, is like, is there another way to look at time? Because this feels really painful to me right now, to think that like I have to put all these years in between me and my desires.
I love that. I'll share mine too. So it was December 2021, and we were in the height of COVID. I was actually working remotely, and what that meant was that I never stopped working. In fact, I started working more in a full-time job, and I had started a coaching business, and I was thinking about going back to school to get a master's degree or finish my MBA, and like I was just packing my schedule. What's interesting in the industry that I work in is that December is usually a very quiet period of time work-wise. And so people do like a lot of trainings, and sort of like mess around, take a lot of time off. So I didn't have a time issue, but I just felt very overwhelmed with I didn't have a time issue related to the holidays being intense, but I felt like I just had so much going on in my personal life that it was like very, very overwhelming for me. And I felt like, okay, well, this is, I could maybe apply this to my life.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, do you remember, Emily, when you were saying that, do you remember what was one of the ahas you got from the group? Is there anything that really stands out?
Yes. I had this story that I was not good at making decisions. that I was a really indecisive person, and it took me a really long time to make decisions, and I needed a lot of information. And then usually when I made a decision, it ended up being the wrong decision. So that was kind of the story I had. And Vikki did this training on decision making and the concept of indecisiveness. And I remember it was a beautiful, like unseasonably warm day in December, and I was outside and I was listening to the replay of that live coaching call that she did in the pop-up group. And it just like, you know, like the mind blown emoji. That was me. I was like, oh my God, I'm not actually indecisive. I just keep making the decision not to do something and then like looking for evidence to like support that decision or make myself wrong for making that decision. And it was really, I was disconnected with what I want. I was more focused on what I thought everybody else wanted. And that training in particular, like it set me free. And then I was like, I have to join Time Hackers. Like if this is what we're getting in a free pop-up group, there's got to be more in Time Hackers that is just going to like explode my mind.
Yeah, I think for me, during that training, because you know that was my exposure, I remember being on a trip with my husband for Christmas, and we were driving, and like I'm one of those coachees that's like, I'm gonna get what I come for. Like I'm gonna get coached in every session. Like I do not care. Like I'm here to get what I come for. And I remember like it was dark and we were driving, and I was making my husband listen to the call, and Vikki coached me. And like the coaching was so deep. Like I'm a deeper person. I want to go to the root cause. And the coaching wasn't like, yeah, go make a schedule for yourself, Kim, or yeah, like just like do Monday hour 1 better, right? Like, because that's what I was looking for, is like, how do I get better at this? How to be more efficient at my time, right? So I can collapse time for myself. And she ended up coaching me on like, you've got to trust yourself. Like, trust yourself. And like that's what she still ends up coaching me on. But it was like, oh wow, this is so much deeper than just this like high level. You know, you guys have been to high level like free trainings where it's like sprinkles of crap, and then like spend $50,000 with me and I'll actually give you the A-line crap, you know. And it was like she was willing to dive and go deep and help me solve my problem within that free training. And that just built so much trust. It's like, oh, I'm willing to invest in her now because she's willing to like get to the root cause with me.
That's such a good point, Kim. I feel like so many free things I've done, like downloads, workshops, whatever, like they give you just like a taste, right? And then they're like, okay, now you need to invest a lot of money in what I'm offering to get like the real goods. And I felt like Vikki gave us everything. Like it was like a huge holiday gift, right? I mean, she really coached the crap out of people and like did not hold anything back. Like the value of that free pop-up group was incredible. I mean, you could just walk away with that and be good to go.
Yeah. And that's how I enjoy to be sold to, right? Like you give me everything I need, and then I want to invest in you because I know you're going to fully deliver with me.
Yeah. But I mean, that's just who Vikki is. Like she's an extremely generous person. And I think that's really what the company is about, is being, you know, really generous, making things accessible for people. So it's very in line with the company brand. But I mean, at the time, she was just being very generous. I think she was just coming off of an extended time off. And so I think her thought process at the time is like, what can I give my community? What can I gift my community? And this was the result of that, which, by the way, Joe, I know you have an amazing answer to this, but I just want to, we probably should have done this at the beginning, but what was the Hustle Free Holidays pop-up? It was a 30-day experience with Vikki in a private Facebook group. And she ran several live trainings where she would, you know, introduce a topic and then coach people, do like live coaching. And I think the coaching calls were at least 90 minutes. I mean, she coached everybody that came. And then she introduced us to concepts that we use in Time Hackers that you could, like the Monday, Friday questions, you could start applying those right away. And she also invited some existing Time Hackers to kind of talk about their experience and some of the biggest shifts they've had in Time Hackers. So there was a lot that was delivered in this 30-day, you know, free training. And I'm thinking about it, I'm like, actually, what she delivered was really a time hack for people who weren't even time hackers. Like, we got to start hacking our time before even becoming time hackers, which was really cool. And when we got into time hackers, we already knew some of the things to do right away, which was awesome. Okay, but sorry, Joe, go ahead. Tell us about your aha moment.
Well, I just remember something else. I remember the value also of the written coaching really blew me away. I remember there was a hashtag, I think it was
that's
Ask
right.
Vikki,
Yeah.
and I remember posting in there and then getting these incredible, very short, direct written coaching. I was like, it was incredible value. But I love that Kim mentioned, you know, the difference to how she'd experienced things in other programs. What really stood out for me was that I felt like I'd been told, focus on the future, which of course we do in time hackers because we don't want to be limited by our past. But Vikki did something I hadn't experienced before, where she, you know, she really wanted to mine my brain in the coaching I got on my past. And I thought that was incredible to me, because it was all these ideas I had about how can I just decide that I am a successful coach now. Yes, I have my certification, but where's my experience? I can't just decide this for myself. And then she, I remember in the coaching very clearly said, how have you ever changed your identity in the past? Such a simple question. And what immediately came to me was driving. I thought, I was terrified of driving. I used to live in Chicago. I was like, there's no way I'm ever driving in the city. People are crazy, beeping, rushing. And then I moved to the suburbs and did start driving. And then we did go back to Chicago, and I had no problem driving around the streets of Chicago. I thought that is a huge identity change from I'm terrified to get behind the wheel to I can reverse park all over the city whenever I want. And that to me has been gold all the way through time hackers. That let me just mind my brain for a moment. Where have I already done this or something very similar in the past? And so of course it's possible for me now. So I say that is the thing I took away that was the most value, that's stuck with me very closely since.
Yeah. I love that, Joe. Absolutely right. Because I have a hard time with future self work, but like Vikki does a good job of meeting us all where we are, because we're also very different, right? Like even in this call, like I think we're pretty different. And she would always pull in CrossFit for me and like, okay, where did you find success there, Kim? So it was so much easier for me to create that new self-concept versus here's this self-concept, connect with your future self that I have no idea what her self-concept is. So I totally agree.
I thought you were thinking, Emily. You look like you were thinking.
Yeah, I just like so much is coming back to me. And I think that is like what you just said, Kim, that Vikki meets everybody where they are. And I think the same thing, I'm seeing the same thing in the coaching that our time hacker coaches deliver, like in the one-to-ones and the weekly calls and the written coaching in time hackers. Like there is no hard, like I'm trying to verbalize this because the thoughts are just forming in my head, but a lot of the coaching I've seen outside of time hackers is like a lot of like really hard gritting sort of work, like pushing through. And I feel like time hackers goes really deep, and it's hard in the sense that, you know, you have to explore areas that you may not want to explore, but at the same time, it's not grueling. It's like you are already an amazing person. You've done so much, like you're incredible, and like let's celebrate those things and also pull them out and use them to fuel where you want to go. And I just think coaching is done differently in time hackers, and that's something that, I mean, that's why I originally started following Vikki, and then that's the experience that I had in the pop-up group, and then it just continued on in time hackers, and now we're seeing it in our time hacker coaches that, you know, have gone through extensive training with Vikki.
Yeah, I love that, Emily, because how are we not giving ourselves credit for everything we're achieving? Like that is such a big focus in time hackers, isn't it? Let's give ourselves credit. Let's not give time credit. Let's not give luck credit. It is all down to us. And I remember that is in fact why I made the decision to go from after the pop-up group to go into time hackers, was because at the time Vikki was offering a consultation call. And so I was like, I have to get on that call one-on-one with Vikki. And in that, I said, oh my gosh, I loved the group. I got so much out of it. You created this incredible group, this incredible community. And she said, how is it you, Joe, that created this for yourself? And it really kind of stopped me in my tracks. I paused and I thought, hang on a minute, because I've been in many, many other programs and did not get these same results. How was it that I created that for myself? And then I realized I really, really showed up to that group. I was answering all the questions, the written questions. I was getting coached whenever I could. I was showing up. And also I was connecting with other people in the group. That's what I loved, because I have another thought that Vikki is great at creating community, attracts really lovely people and really supportive. I actually got my first ever client from being in that pop-up group from someone else. Thank you, Rachel, if you're listening, who offered me someone that she knew to work with. So just a really, really supportive community. And I know that I showed up in there in a way that created my results. So I love that there is always that reminder from time hacker coaches that it's you that's creating your results. You don't need to give credit to anyone or anything outside of you.
That is so well said. And Joe, you're like one of our most prolific commenters. I love opening Facebook and seeing like Joe's commented on your post. Like, you're so good at celebrating people and being engaged.
Yeah, I love that connection. I really do.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I just want to give, because I know there's like all sorts of people like listening to this and we're all like a different perspective. I am not like Joe. Like, I'm very like, here's the leader. They're the expert because they have created massive success. That's what I want. Tell me what to do. I'll go do it. I don't want to go experiment. Like, I want my results, right? And it's always been challenging for me in Time Hackers because Vikki is kind of like, no, you're the expert. You created this success. Like, she won't allow me to like put her in the kind of podium. Like, I've done that with a lot of coaches. Like, they're here, I'm here, right? And she won't let me put her there. She keeps like pulling me like, nope, you're the expert. You're creating this, which is uncomfortable for personalities like mine. That's not like, because I'm not wired for like lots of friends and connection, right? Like, I'm more like driven, like I want my results. I don't care about anything else. But the community and the space that she's created, I don't ever feel like an outsider. Even though I may not be about certain things that some of the other community is, like, the community always accepts me, always is like, yep, that's the fiery one. It's like over here doing some weird stuff. But that's who Vikki is. Like, she's so inclusive of all people and just allows you to be you, and like always puts the power back to you. And I have not experienced that with other coaches. It's like, yes, I'm the expert, you're the student. And she flips that model. Like, nope, we're all the experts in the room. And I want you to keep your power with you, and you're welcome no matter who you are and how you're wired.
Incredible. And by the way, it's total BS, Kim, that you're not good at connection, because you're an amazing friend. But I get the point you're making.
Yeah, I think I'm just like, I'm one of those like one-on-one type people, not the like, let's all go dancing at the club type people.
But I feel like that's the benefit of Time Hackers, is that there's a lot of different ways to interact, and there's no one right way to do something. It's not like, here's Vikki's formula for success and you follow it to the T. And if it's not working for you, there's something wrong with you. It's all about, how do you take the concepts and apply them to your zone of genius, your Enneagram number, your whatever it is, right? It's like, how do you make it work for you with your skills, your strengths?
Yeah. Which I think is amazing.
Yeah.
That's how you meet all people where they're at.
Exactly. Kim, why did you join Time Hackers during the pop-up?
I think it's because I got coaching by Vikki, and it was deep, right? Like, she delivered, and it was deep, and it was like, and I love the way her brain thinks in terms of like what you just said, that the concepts can apply to anyone and everyone. It's not me having to force myself into a box and be something that I am not. I get to be me and utilize this work with the Kim way.
The Kim way,
The
the
Kim
Joe
way.
way, the Emily way,
Right.
the whoever you are way.
Right. And she just does such a good job. She's of making everyone feel included. Like you
Yeah.
just get to come and be who you are. And it was like, oh, this is a safe space where I get to learn because I know she's going to teach me. And like, that's a big value set for me. It's like, I want to learn. And I knew she had all these modules that she was going to teach me so I could come and I could learn. I had the community. I could get coaching every Tuesday. Right. And it wasn't this massive 1,000 people group or like only 5 people get to raise their hand and get coaching. Like, your likelihood of getting coached on Tuesday calls and time hackers is very good.
Yep.
Yeah, I wonder, do you remember any specific result from the pop-up group? Anything that's really changed?
I realized that I could be a millionaire and it wasn't going to take time.
I love
Woohoo! Women millionaires, love it.
that. Yeah,
Yes. Oh, go ahead,
I-
Joe. No, you go first.
I was going to say, I remember this very specific example that Sex and the City, the follow-up, and Just Like That came out at that time. I remember because I had this thought. I was writing a blog at the time and it was driving me insane I think I was doing it every week back then. And it just took me so long, just hours and hours and hours. And then one day that the new series was coming out, and I remember I got the blog done in way less time. And I commented in the group, yes, I got it done because, and Just Like That was coming out that night. And I really wanted to watch that when it came on. And Vikki again was like, it's not because of, and Just Like That. It's so hard to get that in your brain, but it's when it's repeated to you over and over, then you do get it. And that was a massive result for me because that blog that was at the time the bane of my existence then became enjoyable. I was blown away to learn I could really decide for myself how long this gets to take. That was my decision, not just I have to keep going at this and going at this until it's some form of perfection, which what does that even mean? I just knew then I'm going to write this blog in an hour and a half and then it's going on my website and that's it. So getting a very tangible result like that in the pop-up was great for me to see, like, I'm getting results, I'm going for this and joining Time Hackers.
I remember just feeling a sense of relief of like having a decision made about the master's degree program. I'm not going to apply. And that just felt like a huge burden lifted off of my shoulders. And I even decided that I was going to put a reminder in my calendar for the next year if I wanted to revisit the decision. But between now and the next year, I didn't need to think about it. I didn't need to go back and forth thinking about that. Like that just cleared up so much mental space for me, which was huge at the time because I felt like there was no mental space left. And that just felt so good.
Yeah, I remember that actually, because it seemed like to me, I was like, that's such a huge life decision. This is what I was thinking on the call. And you made that decision in, a split second, which we know that's what a decision actually takes. But to see it in real time with someone else, that made a big impression on me.
Yeah. And I think like I had already made the decision that I didn't want to apply, but I thought I should. And so like the time I was wasting was like going back and forth between like, but I don't want to, but I should, but I don't want to, but I should. And like, here are all the reasons I should. And I should just, get comfortable with those reasons and do it. And like, that's where we waste the time, right? Like I already knew what I wanted to do, but the time wasted was going back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you all have any hesitation about joining Time Hackers before you clicked pay?
I mean, is there somebody that does? I mean, like whenever you're making an investment that has a comment in it, like I'm sure every human's kind of like, I don't know. Were either of you like, oh yeah, comment done?
No.
Yeah, I for sure had the same thought that I'd had many times, which is I'm already in several of the programs. I'm consuming so much. I'm supposed to be producing. This is just another thing to consume, all these thoughts. that it was too much. And then I got to the place of, how will this, because it's time hacking, it's called time hacking, how will this help me complete all the other programs? And what I realized was, first of all, do I want to? That was the big thing. Vikki talked so much about desire. Do I actually want to complete all these programs I've bought? So that was the first thing. And then also I learned basically not to keep a new way of doing things, because until then I'd been doing things as though this is the teacher, the coach, and I want to get the gold star just like at school. So I'm going to do it, everything they tell me and do all the homework to get, I suppose, the recognition from them. And so what I learned in Time Hackers was like, how am I doing this for myself? How is what I'm getting out of it and giving to me from this the only thing that matters here? That was the big lesson for me. So it actually led to me dropping a couple of the programs I was in because they weren't doing it for me anyway. And, really going all in on Time Hackers. And what I learned was, which is something, we teach in Time Hackers, that if you are willing to give yourself the chance to single focus, it's just mind-blowing what you can achieve. But we know that does not feel safe when we've spent our whole lives rushing around, multitasking, in survival mode. So it's being willing to give that a try. And I saw it in so many examples. One simple one was doing exercise. I always thought, oh, I want to work out, but I've got this podcast to listen to or this lesson. And I realized I was not getting the effects from either. I wasn't focusing on the podcast, say, I wasn't focusing on my muscles that I was training. Once I started single tasking, really focusing on working out, I was like, oh, these instructors on the screen actually have a lot to tell me about how to move this particular muscle or how to breathe through this. It's like, I've been missing that all these years listening to podcasts at the same time. So yeah, that was a massive, massive lesson. And then in the, doing the Become a Time Hacker coach program, that kind of reinforced that over again, because then we were actually teaching on these modules, and that was even more focus. It was like, really, I'm not a consumer at all here, I'm a teacher. And that is something that Vikki recommends in the Time Hacker program right at the start. Like, if you had to teach this tomorrow, how would you show up to this training, rather than just, oh, I'll just listen as I'm pottering around the kitchen? Or there really is a difference when you're very single focused on something.
Hesitations. Well, I think because we had like a consultation call with her, didn't we? Like after pop-up, like when did you do a consultation?
She offered it. I didn't get one, but she offered it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I took her up on it. And I think what it was, I was coming out of other programs where there was just massive amounts of people in, and like you were not guaranteed to get coaching in this massive group. You were supposed to learn from others coaching, which is fine. Just sometimes I would like to be coached, right? And I think I asked her, I'm like, like, am I going to get coached regularly in your group? Like, because I know you offer a call every week, like, or is this one of these things where I'm going to have to learn vicariously from others? She's like, no, like, there is room for people to be coached, like, it's not like we're on, it'll take you you'll get coached once every 4 months or anything like that, like that. And she was just so open, like, I will get what I come for. Yes. But I love when a coach is like, I'm going to help you get what you come for. Not, I'm just an island out here trying to grind my way through it. Right. And so I felt so supported by her. That's like, yeah, I'm here. You can get what you can come for. I will help you with that. And our work is definitely like, don't go do a bunch of task 8-line stuff, Kim. Like, the work is like, you've got to trust yourself. So I just felt so supported, and I felt like very cared for and like held, and like, I know I needed to heal my relationship with time just from the pop-up, because it showed me things don't take time, right? Like, you can have your $1 million. It doesn't take time, which I'd always been taught. And so I think with that new concept and how I knew I was going to be supported within the Time Hackers community, I was like, okay, like, I think, and you have lifetime access. They still do, don't they, for Time Hackers?
Everybody has lifetime access. Yeah.
lifetime access is like, this is kind of a no-brainer at this point. Like, I'm getting support. I'm getting to learn tools that like push the power back to me always. Like, I can for sure make my money back on this.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer ROI, right?
Yeah. I remember I have this loop that I like to take my dogs on during like midday just as a reset. And I remember doing it multiple times and going back and forth on that decision of like, should I join, shouldn't I join? And then I spoke a little bit earlier about how I was doing the same thing with the master's degree program. I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing it again. I want to join, but I have this idea that it's too much money or that I shouldn't invest in another program because I'm already in so many others and I won't have time to do it. And like all the things that come up, I'm like, I'm doing it again. I want to join. Let me just reduce that amount of time that I like put myself through this torturous indecision process and just decide to do it. Right. And so I did. I like, without even a consult call, while I was on the walk, I paid on my phone and just signed up. And then literally on my walk, got access to the modules and started listening to them right away.
Oh
I was really proud of
time
myself.
hacker implementation. Well done, Emma.
Exactly. But I also think it's really important to mention that the program is lifetime, which kind of makes it, like you said, Kim, a no-brainer. I mean, it's, an investment for sure up front, but then you get access to the program. And one of the things that really attracted me is that it's not specific to one area. You could apply the concepts to any area of your life. And I started using them in my full-time job right away, but I've used them on many other areas of my life. So you can keep reusing the material and learning. And I think all of us have had something that we've gotten coached on multiple times because these patterns that we have are really ingrained, and it sometimes takes a little bit of coaching to recognize them and then start unlearning them and doing something different. And I think that's the really cool thing about having a lifetime access program, is that you don't have to, cram it all into 6 months or whatever. Like, you have a lot of, should I say, time, a lot of opportunities to recognize the patterns and relearn them, and so many different ways to do it in Time Hackers. Like Kim, like you mentioned, the weekly call, and then there's written coaching, which Joe, I know you love to provide support on the written coaching, and then just learning from other time hackers obviously is great. And then you have access to the materials and then any of the bonuses that Vikki does. So there's a lot of different ways to engage. And I mean, I agree. I think no-brainer is the most obvious way to explain it. But we are doing another Hustle Free Holidays pop-up. Vikki will be hosting one in December of 2023. I keep saying 2024, but we're not there yet. So 2023, what are you all going to join?
Definitely, I'll be there. I was thinking about, what am I looking forward to? And I thought it is always the community. I enjoy like seeing people interact. I enjoy what other people are offering. I think I get so much from reading other people's shares in the group, and I'm excited for all the people that are going to join, like to whom this is really brand new stuff, because we're so used to it now 2 years later. So I'm excited about that. And also, I always love to think of what Vikki has said many times, that we get smarter as the week goes on. So I love to have that thought in my mind as well. If this is, how long is this pop-up going to be? Do you know?
30 days probably.
It is going to be 30 days. So it's just the thought of like, how, as I join this and go through each week, how am I just getting smarter with everything I've learned? That always blows my mind, that however you start something is not how you're going to finish it. It just isn't. So I'm just looking forward to that possibility to see what I create in it.
Yeah, I think for people that are like wired like me, it's like 30 days, like, damn, that's like a long commitment. But what I love is that she does not structure her offers, or she hasn't in the past, where it's like, there's a call every day at 11 p.m. and you have to make the call. And if you miss the call, you have to watch the replay for the next call. Like, I love that she doesn't do that, because there is a lot of space for rest what I remember, built into it. So it's not like I have a lot of homework, a lot of calls to show up to. It's like, here's a concept. And then you have like days to implement it or not implement it. And then you get to show up when you want to show up and get what you need. And then you don't have to show up for 7 days. Like, I do love the flexibility of that in her holiday pop-up, because I would not do it if it was like a call every day for 30 days.
It's like the advent calendar of coaching from home.
Right. Because that's one of her things. It's like, it's not about perfectionism, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's like her free stuff is always like, oh, I might show up today. I don't know. Or I might show up in 3 days. Like, there's not this like perfect, like on track way of doing it. So I think that, so if you guys are thinking about doing it, please know it is not a daily commitment that you
No,
have to
and it's
do.
not, I can tell you for sure it won't be a daily commitment again. I feel like you could go with the attitude of, I'm going to show up to one thing, and that one thing, I'll walk away with so much value from just that one single training. And I really think that's true for everything that Time Hackers as a company puts out, that Vikki puts out, that you all put out. Like, you could just hear one thing and it could change everything for you.
Yeah, I love that.
That's so true. There's a thought that I have now that Vikki said that I feel like has changed my whole life, and that there's probably many of them, but this one really stands out, that distraction happens in your mind, not in the room you're in. So as a mum of 3 kids and constantly hearing between the 3 of them, mom, 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 that thought has been life change for me. Not like, you don't have to just give up and go, oh, you see, I can't do this. I can't get any time to myself. How am I ever going to be able to concentrate? This is just, forget it. There's just no need with that thought. Distraction happens in your mind, not the room you're in. So that is so true. You could show up for the pop-up and on the first day and get one sentence like that changes your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the community. Now that I've stepped into a new role as the director of ops for Time Hackers, I'm not as involved. I'm working on figuring out how to be involved and to the level I was, but that was something I really enjoyed in the original pop-up, was how interactive people were. And then I brought that into Time Hackers when I joined and continued to just receive so much. Like, I used the Facebook group that we have for Time Hackers almost as like a journal. I don't love journaling, but I love posting my thoughts in the Facebook group. It's a great way for me to go back and like see how things have changed and like everything I've learned. And so I really love the interactive community experience. So I'm looking forward to that, because I have stepped away from that a bit, and I really miss it. I love our Time Hacker community. It's such an incredible group of people. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
I love that you shared that, because I've been in Time Hackers for a little bit. I think you were in there longer than me. Like, I've seen you over the years, like post and post. And I'm like, is this how we're supposed to be doing it? Like, because I'm not a written coaching girl. I don't, posting's not my jam. And so I love that we're like, yeah, we get to do it so differently, right? Like, there's obviously Emily is a star student in Time Hackers. Like, you've applied it in so many
I'm the
ways.
best student, and I get all the stars, and you guys could suck
Kim
it.
is not. I'm like, oh, I will get to those modules.
No, I mean, there were definitely modules that I hadn't really gone through when we did become a Time Hacker coach, that I was like, oh, guess it's time to finally hit these.
Wow. And Emily, think how much joy you bring to people every time you post with your emojis. Everyone just loves them because you come up with different ones every time. I'm like, where's she getting these?
I know, it's fun. It's like a little thing for me. It brings me joy. But I mean, I feel like the theme of this call is there's no right way to do it, right? There's just your way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love to know, like, oh, this was like, we got a glimpse into Emily's journal.
Yeah, you all, dear diary, you all have a little, it's not private.
Yeah. I think that's cool.
I love that. Is there anything else that you want to share with people before we hop off? About why they should join the pop-up, why they should join Time Hackers?
Yeah, I would just say, think about why you're joining. Like, you may see holiday hustle and think, oh, well, I'm okay with this time of year. Like we all said, actually, we weren't getting stressed over the holidays. But anyone that wants any slight change to their relationship with time, then I recommend come and join this for free, because that is exactly what will happen. You can't walk away from this without having changed your relationship with time in some way. And that, can obviously be life changing. If my thought was always, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough time, and everything was panic and rush, and then just that thought of, I have time. What if now is the time to do this? That's a question I ask myself over and over again with anything. Like I've said before, Amazon boxes that I want to cut down. I'm like, what if now's the time? And it comes to me, it's only my thoughts telling me there is no time for this. You don't have time. You have to rush. That awareness that you gain of what your thoughts are about time, of your relationship with time, that's going to change everything for you.
Yeah. I would say if you're sick of shame, the shame that the relationship with time creates, like if you're done with it and you're sick of it, like why wouldn't you take an opportunity of a free training that could help break that relationship up, where you don't have to feel like time is in control and you're powerless to it, and then you just constantly feel behind and procrastinate, like that whole shame relationship that we have with time. Like what if this is your opportunity to finally just be done with that and have a new leave with a new relationship on time, whether you join Time Hackers or not.
Absolutely. And just for the record, there were people who did get coaching on the holidays and the stress of the holidays, even though we three were not those people, there were definitely people that did. Because I think that it is a stressful time of the year. Like Kim said, there is a lot of shame associated with, I have to get it perfect. I have to get it right. There's so much pressure on me to do all the things. So certainly there were people that got coached on that. Also, we've got like 30 plus days left of the year. It's not too late to meet your goals for 2023. And I think this training could be really helpful on that. So if there's things that you haven't gotten done that you want to get done before January 1st, this is an awesome time of the year to knock it out.
Mm-hmm.
Such a good point.
All right, Joe, Kim, it was so fun to chat with you all. Thanks everyone for listening in, and we hope to see you in the group. All the links will be in the show notes and on social media and email. So just figure out the best way for you to join, and we'll see you in the group.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye, Emily. Bye.